least a little glimpse as to what cardology and the practice of it and the art of it and the spirituality behind cardology is. So I am more than eager to connect with her, and I am going to bring her on right this very minute because I already see that she's logged on. So buckle up your seats, ladies and gentlemen, because this is going to be magical here tonight. Let's see here. You know, sometimes this loves to act up. Okay, let's see here. One of these days I'll get it all together. One of these days. No, not that. My. Clicking on her name and it should be able to come up with me to be able to send the request. Okay, I send her a request to see if she receives it on her end. Let's see here. Awesomeness. Get ready for another magical afternoon.
Hi there.
Hello there, how are you?
I'm good.
Nice to be able to connect with you and welcome to the Magic Spot. And I'm happy that you accepted to come on today to this wonderful space with our spiritual warriors that are eager to know the
Awesome.
magic that you're bringing on today. So my beloved spiritual warriors, this is Miss Aquarius Maximus, and I'm
Hi.
happy to be able to connect with her today on this magical afternoon. So I always like to start off by giving, a little background as to who you are, your name, where were you raised, little tiny bits of who Miss Aquarius Maximus is.
hmm Well, my government name is Tabana Evans. I'm originally from New York. Um,
Awesome, New York in the house.
yeah, New York in the house. I was born in Long Island, New York. I was born in, I guess you could say Lindenhurst, but kind of lived in Amityville,
Okay.
so to speak. I was raised in Brooklyn. Uh,
Mm.
Graduated from Brooklyn Technical High School. Um, Came down south about 25 years ago.
Okay.
And I've been living down south ever since. I stopped off in Virginia and then made my way to Georgia.
Okay. Awesome.
And I am a lot of different things. I'm a technologist, I'm a data scientist, I'm a
Hmm.
developer, I have marketing background. I have a little bit of
Awesome.
everything.
Multifaceted.
Yeah, yeah,
That is awesome. That is awesome. Cardology, which is
yes.
also is cardology also, if I correct me if I'm wrong, also
Yes, it is. It is.
okay.
People know about it. People know it as the Destiny cards. Some people know
Hmm.
it as the
Okay.
Magian
Yes,
cards.
yes. Okay.
The
Okay.
cards of truth. There's so many different
Hmm.
names people call it, but it's cardology.
I like cardology. I definitely like
hmm
cardology. For better understanding, and I know that a lot of the different practices, it's impossible to really grasp the whole gist of it in an hour, but to the best of your abilities, what is cardology, and also how does it interact with astrology and numerology? Because I know there is a connection, but how do they complement each other?
Well, cardology is the science of the playing cards, and we say the science because it's when you get deep into it, it's truly a science. It
Okay.
does have elements of numerology
Hmm.
and elements of astrology, which is why of course the ology at the end of it, but
Hmm.
adding those things.
Okay.
However, the playing cards themselves, 52 in a deck, which represent 52 weeks in a year.
Okay.
The
I
four
see.
suits represent the four seasons. And the 13 court cards, they represent the 13 lunar months. So the playing cards
Okay.
were emphatically a calendar, a coded calendar.
Hmm.
And cardology is that science that cracks that code.
Okay. Okay, awesome. That answered my next question because I was going to ask you, is there a relationship between cardology and the planets? And obviously there is.
There's a relationship between everything in the planets.
Hmm.
So that's what makes it so beautiful. But cardology definitely makes use of the planets and makes use of astrology in such a unique way that it makes astrology easier to understand,
To
actually,
understand.
when you get into it. Hmm.
I see. Now, interestingly, when I was growing up, because we know we have tarot cards and we know there's a different variety of different uses of cards. Now, when I was
Hmm.
growing up, I saw older men that were very much into destiny cards, not
Hmm.
necessarily in, in reading for people or anything like
Hmm.
that, but they
Hmm.
really got to know a lot of stuff about people
Hmm.
through the destiny cards.
Right.
They didn't make it like a living, or they weren't be like a reader like you and I are, but even if my memory serves me right, there were these older businessmen actually that would not make a business transaction unless these destiny cards. They would do something with the destiny cards to let them know if the business that they were about to jump into was it a right one. Now I understand that these are the men that I'm talking about, at least, were not even religious, so to speak. They weren't following any particular dogma or anything like that. They just believed in these cards to be able to tell them what could they do or not do. Do you have any background on that or knowledge about
Oh,
that?
wow. I mean, it's so deep. A lot
Mm,
of on the surface, when people look at the destiny cards and cardology, they don't really get to see the depth that it goes, but it goes very deep,
mm,
superiorly deep. So much
mm,
so that most people who do the cards and do cardology, they don't do anything without looking at the cards, or,
mm,
the cards give them the answers to almost everything. And I could definitely understand that. The concept of cardology is that everything under the sun has a birthday.
okay.
You know what I mean? I don't care what it is. When you bake a cake and you bake a cake on a particular day, then that
Hmm.
day becomes the birthday of that cake. And that day
Okay.
has its particular karmas associated with it.
Okay.
So you have the inherent karmas that are associated with the day. Then you have the astrological energy that alters those karmas and
Hmm.
how they're perceived.
Okay.
So anything, whether it's a business or a person or a thing or a place or country, all of these, or an event, all of these
Hmm.
things that take place in a particular day fall under the karma of that day, and that day can predict the outcome of just about anything that occurs or that began on that day.
Okay. Interesting. Tell me, I don't know if you know this. This is just little bits and pieces that I've been able to research over time, and now recently getting ready to interview you. What's the story behind cardology, destiny cards, right, and tarot and the church? Because I feel that there's I
There's
haven't
definite
really.
there's definitely
Hmm.
a connection. Most
Hmm.
of the magi teach, and these are older card people, that the tarot came from cardology, came from the cards. Now,
Hmm.
it is said that the Catholic Church created the tarot to divert people away from the purity of the playing cards. So, the tarot is more of an imaginative method of
Hmm.
determining things, and it's not as exact as the playing cards. With the
Hmm.
playing cards, you can get very, very exact with things. You know what I mean?
Specifics. Hmm.
It's specifics, too many specifics.
Hmm.
You can get all the
Yes,
specifics
yes.
you want with the cards that you can't quite get with the tarot. Now the
Hmm.
tarot is powerful because it helps you build your intuition and your own psychic ability. But
Hmm.
literally that's what it's tapping into is your own psychic ability and
Hmm.
your way of interpreting visions. But the cardology is a science. So it
Hmm.
is more of interpreting personalities and all types of details that go way above and beyond what tarot can tell you.
Okay. Now it's interesting. Oh, my brain is going in 100 different directions here because you confirm what I had researched, right? So it's interesting to me because there's a story that the church created tarot, right? The same church that condemns the practice of
Mm-hmm.
it, right? That's
Mm-hmm.
where I'm going with it. That is so ironic to me, hypocritical too, but also ironic that this is, something that the church created so that cardology or the practice of destiny cards or the magi, right, wouldn't be, I guess it was a sense for control or sense to
Right,
be a,
right,
right? Hmm.
right,
Okay.
right.
Okay.
So things wouldn't be so precise.
Hmm.
You know, you that was pretty much it. This is a coded, this decodes karma. You know what I
Hmm.
mean?
I
So
see.
it makes it possible to decode karma. It makes it possible to unravel the strings of time and
Mm.
to pretty much, open a portal to any time, any point in time, and sit in that energy, call on that energy, because it's magic too.
Mhm. Mhm.
So when you're opening a card, you actually have that card. You can't open a card that you don't have. But when you open a card, you're now opening a portal to the energy that that card represents.
Okay. Okay. Is cardology used also as a divination tool?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So it could be used
So,
as
so when you use it in a cartomancy form where you're just shuffling and pulling, it's the same thing. Except the way that we do it is we go off of a set plate structure.
okay.
And the reason why we do that is because if you want to prove something scientifically, it has to be reproducible. You know what I mean? You have to be able to reproduce it. And that's how
Okay.
you prove something scientific. So if you
Mm.
want to inject something as an actual legitimate scientific study, you have to be able to reproduce the results. So we have a set plate that numbers in 90, 90 plates, age plates that are reproducible. We can always go back to this plate and point something out and point out events and point out energies over and over and over again.
I
You know what I
see.
mean? So that helps to give us a scientific legitimacy with
Mhm.
with this science, because it's not just something people who doubt this type of thing or doubt ability, they doubt it based off of the fact of the randomness. You're shuffling something and it's the random, quote unquote, randomness of it. But cardology does prove that there's no such thing as randomness. It's not, nothing is random. Everything
Exactly.
is pattern. But
Exactly.
to people who are skeptics, they're looking
Mhm.
at the shuffle as something random,
Mhm.
so they're like, this is not reproducible, this is not something that I can study and go back. But when you give them cardology and you actually give them a plate to study, then it's the plate itself that draws them in over and over and over again, and then they're able to do their own studies and decipher. So this is why I love cardology, because it gives people the tools to do their own decoding, even without really knowing a whole lot about the cards themselves.
No coincidences, basically.
Hmm.
I see. And I have before I jump into my next set of questions, how did you got introduced into cardology and how did it change your life?
Well, funny thing is, my mom has been studying it longer than I know, but I didn't know.
Mm. Okay. Okay.
But I got my first cardology reading probably it's been about maybe 15 years ago.
Okay.
And that reading like really made an impact on me. I was like, what is this thing that, these cards that are that this person is pulling my whole personality and future and everything with.
Hmm.
And I started to study cardology, but there's a lot of surface information out there. There's not too much depth
Hmm.
um, of information that's publicly available. So I attempted to, contact the Magi and other people and, find out where is the deeper information, because I know that there's deeper information. I felt like a deeper
Mm,
information was calling, and
exactly.
didn't have a lot of luck. Again, there wasn't a lot of public information. But one year I happened to have an ace of spades in Jupiter. And the ace of spades is the card of unlocking secrets.
Mm-hmm.
And that year, I fell so deep into the cards that I was almost obsessed with them. My friends, everybody thought I was going crazy because like everything is a card. They was like everything is a card. What does this card do? I had a friend actually like, are you gonna need some help because this is getting really. So I really, really, really fell into the ace of spades.
Mm-hmm.
But then it was one day, and because my card, by the way, I'm a four clubs, which is a decoder. It's
Okay.
not only a decoder, but I'm also a medium and an astral traveler.
Mm-hmm.
So one day I was visited, and I was visited by someone that said, so you want to know the cards? And from there on, it was like I took a journey from each and every card. Every card would speak to me and tell me about the card. So I would have to, if it was a day, like for instance, today is a five of diamonds, then the five of diamonds would talk to me and tell me what the five of diamonds was.
Mm-hmm.
So I started observing everything about what happened on that particular day. I started recording
Mm-hmm.
it, started seeing patterns that happened only on that day. And that's when I realized that every day has a karmic signature that is unique to that energy. And then if you research the cards that actually supposedly originate from the Egyptian calendar of good and bad days, the Egyptian calendar was a karmic calendar as well that
Okay.
spoke about particular events and what
Mm-hmm.
the outcome of those events would be if you did something on that particular day. So, for instance, if you planted corn on this day, it would say that this is likely to happen. This would be the outcome. Or don't go here because this may happen to you on that day. So they
Mm-hmm.
had karmic incidents, the law of cause and effect outlined on each and every day.
Mm-hmm.
And those are the things that I observed from cardology.
Okay. So you would say also that there's a relationship between cardology and law of attraction?
Yes, it is. It's a
Okay.
map of the law of attraction. So
Okay.
when you open up a spread and you open up a cardology spread, you get to see exactly what energy you have at your disposal.
Mm-hmm.
So it's what energy you have, it's how people are interpreting you, and it's how
Mm-hmm.
you are interpreting the world.
Okay. Okay. Including yourself.
Hmm.
Including yourself. Interesting.
Hmm.
Which cards would you say, which represent us, are most important for our self-development and how?
Well, you have a lot of what we call challenging cards, and those
Mm-hmm.
tend to be the odd numbers, right? So
Mm-hmm.
the odd numbers, in particularly 3 and 5 and 9, these are not, and 7, these are numbers that encourage growth.
Okay.
So these are very, very important because as human beings, we have to grow,
Exactly.
and we have to be pushed into growth. So these cards represent growth on different levels. You have growth on a material level, you have growth on a spiritual level, you have
Mm-hmm.
growth on an intellectual level. These cards tend to outline those growths and the challenges that are associated with growth.
Okay. Being that cardology is so accurate and could be so accurate in a person's life for anything and everything that they can do, would you say, do you personally check with the cardology cards every day?
Yeah, in some form or fashion, yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes I just go backwards to see,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm looking, I might experience something and I'm like, okay, what's going on? Then I go back to see what cards I have and it explains why I'm experiencing what I'm experiencing. I usually check my cards for the week to
Mm-hmm.
see what my week is going to look like.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
of course, I already know what my year. I check my cards for the year. I
Mm-hmm.
check my cards for the week, and I also look when I'm setting goals. I use my 52-day calendar
Mm-hmm.
to set my goals, my short-term goals for a 7-week period.
Okay. Awesomeness. I'm trying to make a connection here because cardology, remind me again that the where the place where it began, or the land or the history where it
They
began.
say it began in Atlantis.
In Atlantis. Okay. And the reason I ask is because you have the ability, or a person that's well versed in cardology practices can actually open up their cards, see what the days look like, or what the week is looking like, or what the month is going to look like, or do the yearly. And it's very similar. I'm trying to make a connection here with ATRs, with African traditional religions,
It is, and I
spirituality.
actually, I'm a
Mm-hmm.
priestess in the African traditional religion,
Uh-huh.
so
Mm-hmm.
I'm an
Mm-hmm.
Ianifa. But
Okay. Okay.
I have also combined, personally. I think I lost. Oh, it had cut off. I also combined Odus with cards, and I combined
That's what I
deities with
figured.
cards.
That's what I figured.
So
Yes.
when a particular deity, huh?
That's what I figured.
It
Did
kind of
it
broke up.
freeze?
You said something.
I think it froze on us. I said that's what I figured. Yes, that you combine the deities with the cards. I think your connection is
My
freezing.
godmother told me one time. My godmother told me one time that I'm probably likely going to combine both of them one
Hmm.
day. And I kind of see that happening because I can pick them out in the cards and I can pick out the Odus in the cards. And I can
Hmm.
see when a person has a particular card, likely what Odu they have. Because the
Hmm.
Odu, the karmas that are associated with the Odu are the ones that are associated with the card.
Okay. So what divinity? Let's just say Oshun. Which cards would she play in?
Oshun is very strong in the King of Clubs.
Okay.
And the reason being is the King of Clubs is the twin to the Three of Hearts. The transformation to the King of Clubs is a Three of Hearts. And
Hmm.
Oshun is a Three of Hearts deity. And
Hmm.
it's interesting because the Three of Hearts is also associated with twins.
Hmm.
And she's known to have had twins. So
Exactly.
it's that, yeah. So, but the Three of Hearts is also associated with being sociable, and she's known as a sociable deity.
Hmm.
So all of these things that are associated with the Three of Hearts are also associated with Oshun.
Awesomeness. I'm not gonna go through the whole pantheon. I'm just gonna go to the basic Orishas. Shango.
Mm-hmm.
Where would he be at?
Shango is more so associated with you have Shango with what is Shango? Shango is the Jack of Spades at times.
Okay.
And it's like different deities. So you're looking for the very sexual deities, like the Ten of Diamonds is a very sexual card as well.
Hmm.
Those are the ones, that's the energy that you see when you see Shango pop up.
Hmm.
Ogun is emphatically the Eight of Spades, which is my
Okay.
Pluto card. The
Okay.
Eight of Spades is the card of overcoming obstacles
Hmm.
by the force of will.
Hmm.
And that aligns with Ogunda in the Odus.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, Obatala is the King of Spades, is
Okay.
Obatala. Which Obatala is associated with, of course, the Ori and the
Hmm.
higher mind, which is the
Hmm.
King of Spades. Obatala is also associated with mental illness, and so
Hmm.
is the King of Spades.
Hmm.
So, and then you have, and what other deities do we have
Yamaga.
that I'm missing? Yemaya. Yemaya is more closely aligned with the Queen of Hearts,
Okay.
those that type of energy. Oya is the five of spades, five of clubs, and
Hmm.
queen of clubs is Oya.
Okay. That's my mama.
That's where
Okay.
you find all of those cards in the
Mm.
same card. You might as well say it's the queen of clubs. That
Mm.
is Oya energy.
And
um
Elegua, the last one. Elegua.
Elagua
Eshu.
is Eshu, yeah. Eshu. Eshu I found more associated with the three of clubs
Hmm.
and any type of three, but anyway, all threes, three of clubs, three of diamonds, a very,
Hmm.
three of spades, a very issue, um except for the three of hearts. All of the other threes, the three of clubs in particular, very ocean, very
Hmm.
eschew. And the way that I associated the three of clubs with eschew is
Hmm.
that the three of clubs is a smoker, and
Hmm.
they suffer from anxiety and stress and worry a lot.
Hmm.
but they're a smoker. That's the card of smoking. And smoking is associated with Eshu. A lot of times you see
Exactly.
children of Eshu, they've smoked or, smoked in some form of fashion. So, yeah.
Exactly. And it's interesting because the connection that I was making is that in African spirituality, specifically Yoruba, and specifically Lukumi,
Mm-hmm.
what is considered in my country in Cuba, Babalaos, practitioners of Ifa, they're able to open up the day every day and see, through, Ifa, what the day or what the week is going to be like.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the Oba Oriate, through Dilogun, we have the
Okay.
ability to do
Yeah,
that as
Dilogun.
well,
Mm-hmm.
to open up the day, even though that's been lost through the lagoon. It's more practice. The Babalaos are the ones that usually are the one that opens up the days, at least the traditional ones, the newer ones, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But being able to pull cards every day, because you're not going to have a regular person, even an Olorisha. You're not going to have a reading with a Dilagoon every day. We don't do
Mm-hmm.
that. You're not going to
Mm-hmm.
have a reading with Ifa every day. We don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to have, a particular uh, divination and other practices every day, because you're not going to open, up, that channel every single day.
Mm-hmm.
But from a cardology standpoint, you are able to practically divine for
And
yourself or others
right, right.
on a
And you
daily
don't
basis.
even need a deck of cards. You
Hmm.
can use the people who come into your life as what I kind of call living divination. So
Interesting.
when a person shows up in your life that is a particular card, that means that you, of course, are holding that card in your
Hmm.
hand.
Hmm.
Now, how you perceive that person, we'll talk about the planetary energy, you know?
Hmm.
So if you might be annoyed by someone, then perhaps it's a Mars energy, you know what I mean, that
Hmm.
they're bringing that day,
Okay.
or if that person cuts you or, or whatever, Mars energy, the person brings you good news or brings expansion to your life, then Jupiter
Hmm.
energy. So you can pinpoint in your mind what cards you're dealing with, especially if it's a repetitious card that kind of goes throughout the whole week. This is the theme of the week, is this person's
Hmm.
card that's in your life. So I pay attention to, and because I'm a decoder, I pay attention to subtle differences and changes. It's like the Matrix changes, like the movie The Matrix. He looked and he saw that there was a change in the Matrix. It was something that
Hmm.
was out of order. That's what I do. So I'll look and I'll see that something is out of place, something is different. What is that difference? The
That's right.
difference is what's going to captivate my attention and get me to decipher what the message is in the difference of, what's changed, what is the change.
That's right. That's right. Because the thing is, people are so, I don't know if you agree with this. People, as humans, we're so, at least from a diviner standpoint, we get individuals who are so concerned about tomorrow, the future, next month,
Right,
next year. When am I going to
right,
get married? When am I going to have
right,
kids? Well,
right.
is this job going to happen? When in reality, to get to where you're going, you have to
You
handle
gotta
what's
start
going on
now.
today.
Right,
You have to
right. You
handle
have
what's
to
going
handle
on right
this.
now in the moment.
Right,
And this
right.
is why people, and I hope everyone is listening to this, and Ms. Aquarius Maximus seems to agree with me. A lot of the reasons why, let's forget the charlatans, let's forget the people that don't even know what the hell they're doing. That's not even worth our time in this magic hour. Sometimes your divinations do not come about, not because the diviner didn't tell you truth in what he or she says, but because there are things that need to be handled here in the moment to be able to attract what's to come towards you. But
Wh-
we're not so focused in today. We're so focused in tomorrow, and that
Right.
just totally steers us away from the focus that we should be having at the moment. Would you agree with
What
that?
I do. What I find is the biggest problem is that we don't see the interconnectedness of things.
Hmm.
And because we don't see the interconnectedness of things, when we really desire an answer, the answer
Hmm.
is being presented to us, but we don't connect to the answer because we
Okay.
think that that answer only applies to someone else.
Ashe.
So we get locked in this little world thinking that, oh, it's just, for instance, when we're talking in cardology, the law of attraction,
Mm-hmm.
everybody who we're talking to, that applies to. So if you're sitting in on a reading
Mm-hmm.
and I start talking about the cards, even if I'm specifically talking to someone else's reading, somehow that applies to you. You have to be honest and open enough to figure out how that applies to you too. You
Exactly.
know what I mean? And not feel egotistical about it. Oh, I'm not like this person. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
on drugs, so they can't be
Mm-hmm.
talking about me.
Mm-hmm.
Or
Mm-hmm.
I'm not this, they can't be talking about me. But some part of that applies to you. And if you're
Exactly.
open and honest enough, you could figure out what the message is for you too. And it
Exactly.
may not be exactly for that person how it is, but there's a message in it for you. So when
Exactly.
people are like, for instance, sometimes people, like when I do the cards and I do the card of the day, they
Mm-hmm.
be like, well, you never do my card. I'm like, I've done your card 100 times. You just haven't paid attention.
Mm-hmm.
You're set in your mind that my card is the four of clubs, but the four of
Mm-hmm.
clubs has a whole spread. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And has karma cards. So likely I've done your card already. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? But you feel so separated and so me. You
Mm-hmm.
need that specific attention on you that you miss the bigger picture. You miss that the message was already given to you.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people, they miss the messages. That's the
I
problem.
share.
The
I share. That
answers
is.
are there.
I
They
hope
just
everyone
miss
is
them.
listening. I hope everyone is
Hmm.
listening. That is so key. That is so key what you just said right now, because then that means what you're trying to tell me is that when you have a particular card, whichever that is, cardology is not my area of expertise, so forgive me for not calling it by specific names. But you have X particular card, but that card belongs to a family, let's just say,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
So in order for this card, which whatever is your card, my card, anybody's card, for it to stand out or for the blessings of that particular card to come into play, the
Hmm.
family of that card also needs to work out through, because that
Hmm.
card does not stand alone. It's
Yeah, no, it
almost as
doesn't.
if it's almost like we were speaking yesterday about astrology. You're not just your sun sign. You're not just the
Right.
month you were
Mm-mm.
born. You're a
Mm-mm.
combination of different planets, of different energies that
Hmm.
make you who you are. So that
Hmm.
makes a lot of sense. And it doesn't, it's so consistent in different practices. It's so consistent, whether it's Yoruba, whether it's astrology, whether it's cardology, whether it's Ifa, whether it's so consistent. I love this explanation, because it gives us an awareness as to you're not just your card. You're not just your birth sign. You're not just your, even in our tradition of Yoruba, you're not just your Odu that's on your head.
You're not, and you're not
You
just that
are
one Orisha.
you're
You're
not that
going to
exactly.
tap into and have different Orisha visiting you at different times and working through you. So no, you're not just one energy. And just
Exactly.
like some people say in astrology, I don't have anything in the fourth house. Everybody has fourth house transits. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So you have something in the fourth house. It's just that you got to unlock it. It gets unlocked with a transit. It's a hidden
Mm-hmm.
aspect. We have something in every sign, we have something in every house. Everybody has a bit of every sign in them. You know what I
Exactly.
mean? And you
Exactly.
express it in different ways. So when people say, "Well, I don't have any this," you know, and then I ask them, I'm like, "Well, if you don't have this, do you have children? Your mom, your dad, what are their signs?
Mm-hmm.
Their signs is that sign that you think is missing. Well, then that means that you have it in your life, because you couldn't have those people in your life if you did not have something substantial in that sign, because
Ashe.
those people are substantial to you."
Ashe. Ashe.
So it's the law of attraction, and it's like when you're doing readings, those readings apply to you. So I get excited sometimes when I don't do a reading for a long time and then I do a reading for somebody, because I realize I'm about to get a reading too. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
as I'm reading them, I'm taking in the information that's coming out of me because it applies to me too. And I'm like, wow.
Exactly.
I'm learning new things at that reading.
Exactly.
So a lot of people don't even consider it from that perspective when they're doing
Mm-hmm.
a reading for somebody, how much that reading applies to you too.
Ashe. And even elders, to be honest with you, and I know, and I'm sorry if some of our viewers may not be understanding all the lingo, but we'll
Hmm.
break it down to the best that we can. Some of our elders too, whether, I don't care if it's traditional or Lukumi or Ifa, sometimes they even miss that point too, because that particular sign that comes up, right? That divination, that oracle, that Odu that comes up, the vessel that's transmitting that, it has to be transmitted to you in order to get to that person, So even though this is about that person, and that person will have to know how they apply that into their life, you also, as the vessel, needs to know what part of that could also be about you. And you said the
Right.
most perfect example earlier about, well, I'm not a drug addict, so, that's not me. Well, yeah, but you might have other vices and other addictions that may not necessarily be drugs, but it may be your way of
Exactly.
thinking. It may be your way of behaving.
Exactly.
Maybe your addiction is your way of thinking. Maybe your addiction is the
Yes.
way you speak. Maybe your
Right.
addiction is the way you act. And that hinders your blessing. It blocks your growth, your
Yeah.
prosperity. So it all adds up. I mean, this is so beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I knew this was going to be another magic. I knew this was going to be another magical.
What's so beautiful is that when you look at a person's cards and they're going to somebody, like if they come to me for a reading, I'm in their
Mm-hmm,
cards. So that means that the message coming through me is me too. You
mm-hmm,
know what I
mm-hmm,
mean? So that means
mm-hmm,
that the message that they're coming from to get from me, they could only get from me. Because
mm-hmm,
at that moment, I'm perfectly tuned into the energy. I'm connected to the channel, the
mm-hmm,
thread of
mm-hmm,
that energy that I can bring it through. I'm perfectly connected to that thread. You know what I mean? And one thing that cardology shows you is the threads that are perfectly connected, So what am I receiving right now? What am I able to receive is what
mm-hmm,
cardology would tell you.
mm-hmm,
If this thread, sometimes what we do is we tap into a future energy. Some
mm-hmm.
cards are very powerful. Let's say the 10 of diamonds. If you
Okay.
have a year where you have a 10 of diamonds in Jupiter, that is a big, bright beacon of light, of wealth, and everything that you can feel up to 5, 6 years before that year even gets there. You
Mm-hmm.
understand what I'm saying? So let's
Okay.
say you get in a 7 year cycle where all of a sudden you feel like this abundance is coming, and you got this really great idea, right? So you tapped into maybe a future card and energy that you have that's so abundant, so
Mm-hmm,
huge that it's sending rays of energy back to you back in this time. You know what
mm-hmm,
I mean? So a person feels it, and then they get on a mission and they start doing something, and then they lose hope because it doesn't happen right away. You know what I mean? And then they're like, maybe I was fooling myself, blah blah blah. But they don't realize that what they've done is they tapped in and connected to that energy in a
mm-hmm.
future time, you know and they brought it back, and it's supposed to get them there. It's supposed to get them on that path.
For
So
sure.
a huge part of cardology is faith. It's a huge part of, because you can't make and create a strategy for yourself using cardology without having faith,
Mm-hmm,
because you're going to be tested all along the way. You
mm-hmm.
know what I mean? You're going
For
to be
sure.
tested by all different types of things. But even the presence of cardology helps to move you above and beyond the test, because you see them coming. You see the
Yes.
challenges coming. You
Yes.
know
Yes.
that there's going to be an obstacle that's going to come. You know that a person who typically gives you challenges is going to show up again, because they're this energy. They're the representative of that energy. So
Mm-hmm.
you know that they're coming. You know what I
For
mean?
sure.
So you
For
don't
sure.
even feel persecuted anymore, because they're an agent of the universe, and they're just there to perform their duty, which may
Mm-hmm.
be to get you stirred up, because you have a tendency to procrastinate,
Yes.
and you have a tendency to give up, right? And you need that competitive Mars energy to get you coming forward. So here comes your Mars Pluto coming to get you riled up again and
Mm-hmm.
get you
Mm-hmm.
creating something perfect.
Mm-hmm.
You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean?
For sure.
So
Yes. Yep.
it's
Yep.
helped me to see people differently. And
Mm-hmm.
that's why my mental peace is really good, because I very rarely get bothered by anybody and what
Mm-hmm.
they're doing, because I know that what they're doing is necessary to get to move me along,
For sure.
especially being a Mars ruled person.
Mm-hmm. I've also throughout the years, I've also discovered that at times the very same things that we ignore are the very same things that we need. And the
Hmm.
more we keep ignoring it, or the more we think or believe that that has nothing to do with me, the more we
It
stay
keeps
stuck.
coming back. Yeah,
And
the more we stay
the more we stay
yeah.
stuck,
And the more it
And the
keeps
more it keeps
repeating,
coming back
repeating itself in different versions,
in
in different
different people.
colors, but it just repeats
Hmm.
itself until you do that work, or you release, or you heal, or you do whatever needs to be done, so in order for you to move up to the next level. And it'll
Hmm.
come in a person. It may come through a coworker that pisses you
Hmm.
off every damn day. Well, what
Hmm.
part about this person that upsets you really
Right.
has more to do with you than
You
about
than
them
it
really
does that
upsetting them?
person.
So
Exactly.
therefore,
That
it's
does
about
it
paying
does that
attention
person.
to the clues, to the little details that we so
Right. Right.
conveniently at times
Right.
ignore. This is so
Right.
interesting. This
Right.
is so
And
interesting.
so many energies that we want to have are the powerful energies. Like we want the tens, the 10 of hearts, the 10 of clubs, the 10 of spades. We want the ace of diamonds. We want all of these really powerful energies. But those
Hmm.
energies are powerful indeed, and they are very dangerous indeed, and
Hmm.
they are very cutting indeed. So if you don't have the heart for it, that's why Leo represents fame in a
Hmm.
degree, because Leo also rules the heart. So
Exactly.
you have to have the heart and the courage for fame, because
Hmm.
this ain't no easy thing. When
Exactly.
once you start getting that 10 of diamonds light, and your light starts submerging in that way, then everybody's clinging to you and needing you at
Hmm.
every moment. You become the most needed person, and your own personal life becomes
Hmm.
no more. Now
Exactly.
you're being needed by people everywhere, and they're pulling on your energy, and you can't
Hmm.
even
Hmm.
sleep.
Hmm.
Like you can't even
Yes,
sleep
ma'am.
anymore
Yes, ma'am.
because
Which
now your energy is being pulled on.
Yes, ma'am. Which is why you have to be cautious what you ask for. You have to be cautious what you ask for. You want the end result. You want the corner offers with the window view, but you don't want what
The
it comes with
responsibility
it.
that comes
So
along with it, and the
sometimes,
sacrifice
and the
that comes along with
sacrifices that come along with it. And this is the thing. Some individuals, I'm sure you've had them, I've had them, and anybody that reads for people or know what the hell they're doing, they've had them too. But I've strived so much for this, and I've worked so much for this. It may be true. You maybe have worked a lot for this. But have you prepared yourself mentally and emotionally with the level of request and responsibility that's going to come at you when you do get what you
it.
want? When
Yes,
you have the
yes.
Orisha or God or spirit or your ancestor give you what you want? Do you have what it takes to be pulled in different
Right,
directions?
right,
Do you have enough resources in your spiritual energetic bank to so that you're not left empty? Because that's sometimes why people don't have what they feel they deserve. They might
right,
deserve it on the one end because of
right.
sacrifices that they have a good heart, but at the other end, spirit ancestor knows that they don't have enough spiritual backup, energetically speaking, to be able to protect them from how they're going to be drained and sucked dry when
Yeah,
the
right,
demand comes in.
right. Why do you think so many celebrities are addicted to drugs and all
Yes,
of these
yes,
other
ma'am.
things?
Yes,
Because
ma'am.
they weren't ready. They weren't ready to cross through that burning fire and
Yes,
where they
ma'am.
were going to get
Exactly.
to another
Exactly.
side. They were not ready for that.
Exactly. They had the
That was
talent.
way too much.
They had the talent.
Yeah, but they didn't have the spiritual training. They
Exactly.
didn't have, and you need spiritual training. You
Yes.
need
Yes.
spiritual training. A lot of
Yes.
them ultimately later on get the spiritual training, but you need it
Hmm.
before you get there,
Exactly.
because when you get there, like I said, it's a whole other ball game. You're gonna have to find your peace, and you're gonna have to
Hmm.
find your own center every day, and you're
Hmm.
gonna have to be willing to fight for it and not give it up for any amount of money or fame or fortune. You have to have that one thing that they cannot buy.
Hmm.
You know what I
Exactly.
mean? Which
Exactly.
is your peace of mind. You got to
Yes.
have that
Yes.
one thing that no one can buy from you, that you're
Yes.
willing to defend at all costs,
Yes,
because your
ma'am.
ancestors are going to prepare you for that. They're going
Hmm.
to be the ones that guard you and say, and that's why they're slowing you down. You're wondering
Hmm.
why things aren't moving faster. They're slowing you down because they're trying to prepare you. They're trying to give you that Jedi training for
Hmm.
when you get to where you're getting, and you're ready.
Hmm.
They're trying to
Hmm.
give you that training.
Exactly.
And this, to be slowed down, you'd be so grateful. You know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
I'm grateful that I didn't get ahead of myself and put myself in a situation way before I was ready for that situation. I'm so grateful for the time
Exactly.
that I've had to ease myself into where I am today.
That's
You
right.
know what I
That's
mean?
right.
Nobody, I'm telling you, you don't want to
That's
be
right.
thrown in a fire like that. You just don't.
That's
You
right. That's
know,
right.
that because then you wind up like Bobby Schmurda and you in jail.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because
Mm-hmm.
you got
Yes.
thrown
Yes.
there too quickly. You know, and
Yes.
you
Yes.
wasn't ready for that.
And then there's so many different directions. Lord, I still have like 6 questions for you. But there's so many different ways to look at this, right? How many individuals do we not know, even at the public, eye, that are in the public eye, that they were so spiritually, talented, but then yet they were giving so much to the world while they were
Yes.
still empty
Yeah.
inside. So
Inside.
therefore, that's what happened to Michael Jackson. That's what happened
Yes.
to many other different people.
Yes.
They
Yes.
gave to the world
Yes.
while their emotional and
Right. While
spiritual
everything
reservoir
was
was empty.
breaking, while everything was collapsing on the inside. Everything was already broken, and
Hmm.
they're giving their spirit and their energy. And like I said, you literally have to answer to that energy. Like right now, where I am, when someone calls out to me, I hear it. It'll wake me up out of my sleep. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
literally,
yeah.
sometimes I get a ding on my phone. That's a message at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning that will wake me up out of my sleep.
Hmm.
And I have to address this person. Now, being a medium is even deeper. You know what I mean? Because these people's
Don't I
ancestors and
know?
spirits, they come to me to help them. And it's like, and I say to them, I'm like, do you know how special you are? Literally, I got woken out, or I got interrupted in a $1 million meeting to
Hmm.
talk to you. You know what I mean? So your important ancestor contacted me and got me on the line with you, and was like, I have to listen to you. I gotta advise you. I gotta help you, because my mediumship kind of comes before everything else.
Yes,
You know,
yes,
so I had to
yes.
tell him, I'm like, you think you're sitting here thinking that no one cares about you or you're
Hmm.
worthless, but your spirits have interrupted $1 billion person to come talk to you. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? And you have to
Exactly.
like honor that. You got to sit back and really be able to be grateful for that and be like, damn, how did
Exactly.
that happen? You know what I
Exactly.
mean? How,
Exactly.
and I'm serious, literally. I would be in the
Hmm.
middle of a meeting, with money on the table. And
Oh
somebody
yes.
will contact me, and I have to shut that down for a second and go talk to this person. So
Exactly.
there are very important spirits and ancestors on the other side, huge spirits,
Yes,
especially
they
right
are.
now,
Yes, they
that
are.
are standing at the brink of time. A lot of them waiting to come back in. They're like
Hmm.
huge spirits around
That's right.
right now.
That's right.
They are so huge.
That's right.
And they're like, we want this right. You know what I mean? And
Hmm.
this person is not playing right. We got to get them in order. So you got to talk to this person. We got to talk to this person.
Hmm.
So, it's super deep, but you have to be grateful for every moment somebody gives you,
Hmm.
and to lift you up in some manner, because
Yes.
that is the proof that somewhere somebody loves you.
That's right.
Somebody super important loves you, because
Hmm.
I consider my values are good. I consider myself very important. You know what I mean? So when I get disrupted, that tells me that somebody even equally or more important than me has disrupted me so that I can help you.
Exactly. That's right.
So
That's
you
right.
should
That's
know that
profound.
you are very important. If you
That is
got
profound.
spirits and egoing like that,
Hmm.
that's like disrupting the lives of other people just so
Hmm.
that it could talk to you,
Hmm.
you should understand how important you are.
That's right. If people would only know, even when we have readings, even when we have readings, if people would only know how many channels spirit, ancestors, guardian angels have to travel through to get a message to be delivered just for you, people would take that more seriously. People would honor it more. People wouldn't waste spirit time. People wouldn't waste Orisha's time. People wouldn't waste Olofin, Olodun, Olodumare's God's time, because
Hmm.
so many channels have to open Okay, in order for that message to be delivered directly to you, something has to be invoked down here to so it can rise up, so then it can come right back down to deliver, an empowering message and guidance and direction just to you. And people don't even understand how that works, which is precisely one of the many reasons why they don't take it seriously, why they walk out of the reading and then they want to do whatever the hell they want to do. They were told to do something in the reading and they didn't do then they end up doing the opposite. Well, hell, so much happened here just for you.
I don't play. We don't play. We know the importance of not wasting spirit's time. You know what I mean? Because you will get some clap back on your ass that will really have you feeling a certain kind of way, So we understand that, don't go with this.
But you and I understand that.
Yeah.
Someone else that refuses to understand that would say, well, oh, somebody's doing witchcraft on me. Oh, no, you're doing it on yourself. Because what you were told last week, or what you were told on Monday, or what you were told a month ago, you're not putting it into practice. So now don't be blaming this mess that you're living through to somebody's witchcraft, to somebody's negativity, because whatever you were told a month ago was enough to protect you from whatever it is that's going on now. And that's what people don't get.
I know. I had a rapper, a client who, his brother, was told that he needed to, receive Ifa, or his life depended on it. And yes, he was murdered last month. And last year is when he was told that he needed Ifa, and that because his life depended on it. Like he was dodging bullets left and right. And it was your life depends on it. You need to take your money and put it into this. But he was putting his money into other things, and he lost his life. So this is not nothing to play with. Like, they will give you those warnings. I take it seriously.
Oh, yes.
If the spirits tell me that I need to initiate my son to protect his life, I don't care how much money it costs. I'm gonna make that happen and go get that done, and then deal with everything else afterward. That's how serious it is, and that's how committed. Because I've seen it and I see it work.
Most definitely.
You know what I mean? Like, I see it work.
But that's also tricky, because why? You and I both know that unfortunately we have many people that do come with their heart. And they do come and they will do whatever it is that you want them to do. But unfortunately, they end up in places where they get told to do X, Y, and Z when all maybe they needed was a cleanse. Or maybe all they needed is...
but you know what? You have to take responsibility. A lot of times when I see and I read those people, they're not honest with themselves. They're not living in honesty. And they have character issues. So you will attract people with character issues that will take advantage of you. Until you get it. You know what I mean? Sometimes you got to take a lot of lickings before you finally get it. And that's your licking. Your licking may be money, because maybe money is going to wake you up. After you lose enough money, you're going to figure this shit out that you need to study and get on your game so that nobody dupes you anymore. A lot of times the people who get taken for money, these are priests. They're already priests. They should be studying the work. They should not be maybe getting people to do all of this work for them when they need to be studying what's going on in their situation. So Eshu, of course, is going to come and trick the hell out of you. You know what I mean? And you're going to be putting money. We've all lost money. I put money out in this and that and blah, blah, blah. But now I've grown to the point where I know how to consult. I know how to, determine if something I really need is necessary. You know what I mean? Just because somebody tells me something does not mean that it's not necessary. Because that some of the things that you go for are because of your desires, right?
Exactly.
So you go to the priest because you want this person, you want this man, or you want this woman, right? So they give you this ritual to do for that. Now, it's really to test how bad you really want that person. So you really want that person, then if you don't really want that person, you're probably going to say, I'm not doing this shit. What am I doing this for? You know what I mean? And that's being real, and that's being logical. So maybe this is waking you up to the fact that you about to waste a whole bunch of money on a situation that you don't need. You know what I mean? And spirit will do that to you
Oh
to
yes.
get you to
Oh
wake
yes.
up to
Oh
the
yes.
fact that you about to make a big mistake. But
And
they're
then
gonna let you do
sometimes,
it so you can feel it.
exactly, and then sometimes happens whereas they do get what they asked for, and then they don't know what to do with it. And then they're
Right,
like, I don't
right,
want to be in this, but this is exactly
right,
what you were working towards. This is exactly the investment that you wanted. So now you have it. So, you can't have
right,
the cake and eat the icing too. My next
right.
question is for you is, do certain cards represent collective groups, countries, nationalities,
Oh
ethnicities, or
yeah, oh
religions, and
yeah,
how? Oh,
absolutely,
wait,
absolutely.
give me 1 second. So, okay, so
Mhm.
we are about to be cut off because we're always going to come into an hour. Can we come back for a few?
Mhm.
Okay, awesome. And
Mhm.
my beloved spiritual warriors, we will be right back because apparently everyone that comes on here is just so magical that just 60 minutes is just not good
No, no.
enough. Okay, so we will be right back. I want all 107 of you back on here. We will right back. I'm going to say this and share it.
Okay.
My, my, my. My, my, my. Every